I should probably lead off this video with a warning. Many of you are going to be triggered by what you see and hear. Many are going to snap over into cognitive dissonance because they just don't want to accept the truth that is right in front of them. For over a year, I spoke about how the federal government, Washington, D.C., was lying to you about Venezuela. There were problems in the country, but they were problems that were orchestrated by big oil. And it had nothing to do with socialism. In today's video, I'm going to prove to you that you, North American, you, resident of the United States, have been living in a socialist country your entire lives. In fact, more than likely your grandparents have been living that long. That's how long there has been evil, terrible, horrible socialism in the United States. Now, let's be very clear on definitions. Socialism, a political and economic theory of social organization which advocates that the means of production, pay attention here, means of production, distribution, and exchange should be owned or regulated by the community as a whole, or, in this particular case, the government. Capitalism, an economic and political system in which a country's trade and industry are controlled by private owners for profit rather than by the state. And one more definition: subsidy, a sum of money granted by the government or a public body to assist an industry or business so that the price of a commodity or service may remain low or competitive, or in this case affordable, quote unquote, a farm subsidy. Now, let's listen to some farmers across America talk about this warning they're giving about food shortages, but listen closely to what they're actually saying.
And something came up that I didn't really think about when my dad mentioned it to me. He's worked in the agriculture industry for over 40 years. This year, farmers are being offered 1.5 times the value of their crops to destroy them. They're also being told by the federal government they will not receive subsidies for farming if they refuse to destroy their crops. What does that mean? That means that the farmer cannot afford to provide you with food based upon the taxes the government is levying on him if the government doesn't in turn give him back his tax money to provide you with food. Kind of a fucked up system, but that's how it works. And, well, they're not going to subsidize them if they don't destroy the crops. They'll pay them more than what it's worth, and they want them to destroy it, and they'll still get their subsidies. They're trying to create a food shortage. We've got 8 months to get our own food supply, or we're probably going to be facing mass starvation.
Is it true that the government is paying farmers to destroy their crops? And the simple answer to that is yes, they are.
Initially heard about the government paying farmers to destroy their crops, I thought it was a load of bullshit. Well, lo and behold, we received our destruction notice the other day. So basically, there's two options on how to destroy the crop. The government could fly on Agent Orange, or we could manually destroy the crop ourselves. We put too much blood, sweat, and tears in it to let them destroy it, so we decided to manually do it ourselves. Basically, it said if we used a lawnmower to destroy the crop, we could receive an extra $600 an acre. Something about the low carbon footprint or something. So that's what we're doing.
I got my letter yesterday. The letter asking you to destroy some crop. Along with the letter, I had to sign for a certified package, which included these two binders, and then, of course, this 3-ring binder on how to properly dispose of your crops. And as you can tell, it's on government paper. And as you can tell, this here is the affected area in my section of the county, closest town, and, of course, you can't run away, they you live. So from the county tracts, then they break it down into these individual farm tracts that you have to destroy. And you can see the crop or the field.
This is the second machine that I dropped off here for the local farmers. Just want to show you a little bit of each drum. You got 4 of these drums, 2 on each side. Now you can imagine the damage they can do, not counting the blade which you can set down. So this will be the first field that we take care of. So all we're going to do is mash everything into the ground. And then I'm going to go pick up some steel plates, lay them across the road plates, so we can get the machines over there, start on that farm. So the farmers got paid by the government. I don't understand what it's all about, but they got paid. Now they hired us to come in here and just destroy whatever we can. I don't understand how it all works, but we're already paid for a certain amount of time. You can hear the first machine already running out there. So when you hear them farmers saying they're getting paid to destroy everything, they ain't bullshitting y'all. Y'all better start paying attention.
Well, what you saw right there ought to concern you. I was doing exactly what I was told via a letter I got last night in the mail from the Department of Hydrocarbons. They said in order to stabilize oil prices, they need a bunch of oil just dumped. And not dumped on the market, just dumped on lease roads and field roads and things like that. So I'm hooked up to that oil tank, going straight into my truck to get rid of it. Well, I'm going to get fined if I don't get rid of it, they said. So that prompted me to call District Selectman Tony Deloge and ask him about this letter. He said he didn't know much about it, but he would suggest that I follow whatever it says. So here we go. You know, these are some serious times right now. Since January, oil prices have been through the roof. I'm seeing more and more farmers on TikTok saying that the government's paying them to kill their fields. Agent Orange, I saw a guy with a lawnmower mowing down beans, getting paid to do it. They're controlling food. Now they're going to control energy. I don't understand why this is going on. But I tell you what, if they control food and they control energy, what freedom do you have left? Man, isn't it something?
I'm sorry about the music. I'm going to recap. This is the container that was in the video yesterday, and we have unloaded the container. Freight is setting at ports. It is not moving, and we're talking ports around the world. I've never seen.
They're trying to keep me quiet. I need you guys to blow this up and stop scrolling. Control the food supply, control the people. This is what's happening. This is the truth. As a fourth-generation farmer, I'm hearing cries across the United States. The Biden administration introduced the 3030 bill, saying that it is a climate change bill, a conservation bill. But if you look deeper and if you really research what they're trying to do in Nebraska, it is disgusting. Why the hell does the government want 1.16 million acres in Nebraska? Because 97% of Nebraska is privately owned, so they're taking from farmers and ranchers and hardworking Americans. And by 2030, they want to take 680 million acres across the United States, kill family farms, control the food supply, control the people. Are you guys ready to stand up?
So one of the things we're going to be talking about this week is the apparent fresh food shortage that's going to hit Europe and the UK over the next few weeks and months. This has been completely orchestrated, and it's absolutely terrible that this is likely to be happening right now.
Excuse my sexiness. I have some breaking news. So right now the federal government is offering farmers 1.5 times the amount that their crops are worth to destroy them. I know it sounds crazy, but just look it up. Don't use Google because they filter your searches. Use DuckDuckGo and you'll be able to find reliable information about this. Anyway, and if the farmers refuse to do this, then that same government will refuse to give them subsidies. I truly believe they're creating a food shortage.
Okay, so you get the message over and over and over again. What's the choice? Destroy the food or you don't get your government check. So the farmers would rather collude and destroy the food in order to get their government check. You see, they could harvest their crops and they could bring them to market and just add in to make up for the lost subsidy. They could do that. They could harvest the crops. Nowhere did anybody say that they were going to go to jail if they harvested their crops. They just wouldn't get their government check. So let's go over our definition again. Socialism. A political and economic theory of social organization which advocates that the means of production, distribution, and exchange should be owned or regulated by the community as a whole or the government. Meaning subsidies. Subsidies, a sum of money granted by the government or a public body to assist an industry or business so that the price of a commodity or service may remain low or competitive. Don't get your subsidy, you just got to raise the price. Which comes to capitalism. Controlled by private owners for profit. You see, the farmers could do this. But they would rather have their government check. They would rather have their government check to destroy the crops than harvest the crops and just raise the price. So what kind of country do you live in again? And this is North America. What kind of country do you live in again? Why haven't we failed? That's the next question. Well, why did I see all the pictures of the starving people in Venezuela? It's real simple. Sanctions. US sanctions. But socialism always fails. No, it doesn't. You know why it doesn't fail in the United States? Two things. Number one, the Bretton Woods Conference that put the entire world on the US dollar and gold. Everything had to be slaved to the dollar. Look it up. I'm sure a lot of you know what Bretton Woods is. And then in the 70s, petrodollars, meaning that all oil has to be traded in dollars. And the petrodollar is slave to the US dollar. So if a country, some small country somewhere, is holding a bunch of petrodollars because they have to buy oil in petrodollars, they have a vested interest in the US dollar staying high and staying valuable, because if the US dollar goes down, so does the value of their petrodollars, and they can't have that. So they are slave to supporting our system. See how that works? See, Venezuela doesn't benefit from Bretton Woods, even though it has far more oil underneath it. And they had the gall and they had the audacity to say, you know what? We want to take our resources in our country and we want it to benefit our people, irrespective of the United States. You see, that was the problem. DC and big oil couldn't have that. So they levied sanctions and they pretty much bullied almost the entire world, other than a few countries, into not selling food to Venezuela for any price, causing huge supply chain hiccups and, yes, starvation. If socialism fails on its own, why would you need to sanction? Why would you need to levy sanctions? And since it didn't work, oh, by the way, notice we haven't heard much from random guy named Juan. The U.S. has had to relent, because people were cooking food down there over wood fires. They said, wait a minute, hold on, we need them buying propane. So now the U.S. government is allowing propane sales. D.C. lost. I thought Venezuela was going to collapse and Maduro was going to run off to Cuba and resign in shame and exile. And then, wonderful, fantastic capitalism was going to rule the day again. And yeah, you see, it didn't work out quite that way. Because DC didn't control the entire world. There were a couple of countries that said, no, we're not playing. We're not playing. We know what you're going to do. Because you've done it over and over and over again, all over the entire world. I'll give you the link to this video. It's in Spanish. What you saw was in English, but the title's in Spanish. The poster is in Spanish, and of course it has the subtitles down here. This is proof. Why wouldn't the farmers just harvest the crops, keep America from having the food shortage, and do it just for cost? You see, that would be socialist, and of course we can't have that, because people starving, unless you can make a profit, why bother? You see, they've been using these government subsidy checks to live on. Meaning, they've been acting like good little socialists, American farmers, for a long time. And the government has been, Washington, D.C., in control of the means of production for a very long time. And I will show you here once again for a third time. Means of production, distribution, and exchange owned or regulated by the quote-unquote community as a whole or the government. Washington, D.C., North America, socialist, confirmed. You've been living in a socialist country your whole life, and the reason it has been fantastically wealthy and successful is because of petrodollars and the Bretton Woods system. At one time, Venezuela was per capita the wealthiest country on the planet because of the oil and because of the socialism. Because they took all that oil, way more than North America, by the way. Right here on the border between North Brazil and southeastern Venezuela, far more oil here than anywhere else in the world. And DC knew this, and Big Oil knew this. That if they didn't destroy Venezuela and try to take over Venezuela and have a coup in Venezuela, they were going to be the new power brokers in the next century. And because they failed, that's going to be the case. Brazil is self-sufficient, not only with petroleum, but with food. They don't need to import food, and they don't need to import petroleum products. So who really is the land of the free, the home of the brave? Thank God every day I'm in Florida, and thank God every day that Florida has very good relations with both Venezuela, Brazil, and other South American countries, and Latin America as a whole. Others? Not so much. I'll leave it there. And like I said, I'll give you the link and you can listen to the video for yourself. God bless. Like, share, subscribe. We'll see you tonight on Twitch.